So a matchup that a lot of people anticipated could have been the final is now happening as 5th place. South Africa versus New Zealand. Both sides losing their quarterfinals but wanting to finish Cape Town on a high and get themselves one last victory under their belt. But in this preview, we will be looking through at the previous fixtures for these two sides, the key players to watch out for, and then a prediction at the end of who we think will be winning this game. But for South Africa, they were on a tear from the get-go of the Cape Town Sevens campaign, keeping their winning streak alive from Dubai with a win over Great Britain. They were able to win that game 19 points to 5. Couple handy tries from Nokia, giving them a lot of momentum in that game. The next game up against the USA, once again successful, the Blitzboks, winning at 26 points to 14. But then their last game of the group stage, it was up against the Irish. They were defeated 14 points to 12. Ireland played a very good game of rugby there. South Africa had their moments, but just weren't quite clinical enough. So they did suffer their first defeat of 2023-24 season. Then they had their quarterfinal. Now we thought that game up against Ireland was a one-off, and perhaps they would just go straight back to the Blitzboks side that we are used to seeing throughout the last leg and a half. But up against Australia, they were defeated 28-0. So it was a massive upset, one that not many people saw coming, definitely not by 28 points. South Africa not able to get anything firing. That same player that I mentioned, Nokia, from the first game, who was doing extremely well, getting 2 tries. He probably ended up costing the Blitzboks 2 tries in that game. Goodold just didn't quite step up in that contest, and there were a lot of reasons South Africa lost that game. Australia, though, having a very good quarterfinal for New Zealand in their Cape Town campaign. They did not start the way that they would have liked to, of course, getting that defeat up against the Canadians, 19 points to 7. Those two sides had a close rally in Dubai. In the end, New Zealand winning that one. Cape Town went to the Canadians. Their next game up against Australia, a dominant win, 35 points to 5, although New Zealand not able to score many points in that second 7 minutes. Australia, though, they are a side that have made their way through to the semi-finals. They'll be taking on the Fijians in a very short moment. Next game for New Zealand, it was up against Samoa. They were beaten 21 points to 14. That was the only game of Samoa's 5 that they were able to win throughout the Cape Town Sevens. New Zealand not quite getting it right, and Samoa making the most of a last-minute opportunity, which is kind of a nice thing to see, seeing as New Zealand have beaten Samoa so many times in those closing moments. Dubai last week, perfect example. Samoa getting one back in the Cape Town Sevens. The quarterfinal for New Zealand, they were dominated by Ireland. The best way of describing it, 36 points to 21. Now that score isn't as one-sided as it could have been. New Zealand fought back well in that second half, but they still conceded far too many tries throughout the first 7 minutes. Ireland, for the first time ever, getting a win over New Zealand in 7. So both of these sides coming off massive upset losses. Who are going to redeem themselves? Who are the key players going to be for these two sides? For South Africa, I believe once again Sullivan Davids has to be so important. We didn't really see a huge amount of him in that Australian game. That could have been down to Goodold just not quite getting that ball out in the way that they needed. Impi Visa, I thought, was relatively strong in that Aussie game, although he did give away a penalty in the breakdown. Then saying that, quite a few penalties against South Africa in that game. So I think someone like him, probably someone like a Ryan Oosthuizen as well, could be absolutely crucial for South Africa in this contest. And then for New Zealand, I'm looking at Leroy Carter. I'm also looking at Narohi McGarvey Black, mainly because even in that defeat to Ireland, he was one of the players who were really stepping up. Just didn't really have enough players around him doing the same thing. And then the last player to watch out for, I believe, for New Zealand will be Moses Leo. He's got pure pace down the wing. South Africa are lacking a few players due to injuries. They don't have Christy Hrubala. They also don't have Shilton van Wyk due to a head knock that he sustained yesterday, which I believe will give Moses Leo more chance down the wing, although more than likely going head-to-head with Roscoe Speckman. So that is a foot race that I would pay money to see. But nonetheless, now we are up to that stage of giving a prediction for this game. Like I said earlier on, it's about who fires back better from a big defeat. New Zealand have already suffered 3 defeats throughout Cape Town, so they're starting to get used to that feeling. South Africa, their last game, their second loss of Cape Town in front of a home crowd, though. That is the part that I found the most surprising about that 28-0. I feel like they definitely wanted to take it to that next level for the locals. They won't be able to play in the final, but they will be able to put on one last showing here. I'm going to say South Africa win the game 14 points to 12. I think it's going to be a low scoring one. Similar score to what we did see for South Africa in their game up against Ireland, except this time going in the Blitzbox favour. But do let me know in the comments what you think the score will be between these two sides. We are going to be doing the live commentary on the channel. It is kicking off at 3:52 AM New Zealand time or 4:52 PM if you are in South Africa. It is the last game for these two sides for about a month and a half before the Perth Sevens, so be sure to check it out. But thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all for the next one.